Hey guys, this is Aegis, and I've got here a game on GSL's Daybreak, and over here as our pink Zerg player, it's going to be MVPLeader, so I have heard. I'm not actually sure what that says, and this was played on the Chinese server, so Zerg would be noted as Congzu or something like that. And on the other side, we do have Isildur. I don't know this player very well, but I just decided to pick this up because I wanted to see some other maps, and he's going to be playing as Terran, or otherwise known as Renlei. So we've got here the production tab as well. Let's take a look at the center of the map. We've got these two Zelnaga towers. I'm not familiar with this map. That we'll be able to watch over the center locations, these mineral expansions, as well as the one rich Vespine geyser. I don't think it'll actually be able to see this expansion over here, but there's additional expansions towards the side. The natural expansion, let's see, is very wide open. It's got a very big, wide area for run-bys, but it looks like it's easily to wall off here, just building buildings across as you go along. So we'll see what these players decide to do. And it does have these supply depots at the bottom of the ramp. I think this is actually slightly wider than a normal ramp, so it will take two force fields to wall this off, or 1.5 if someday they decide to give us half force fields. And we do have two barracks coming up over here from Isildur. Is going to be rushing in just a moment. This is really close by. Actually, there's a second second area that you can run up to the natural expansion in addition to the destructible debris over here. So Isildur is definitely going to be rushing in just a second, and that drone is going to be able to see this, so our Zerg player may even cancel his natural expansion in response to this. Oh no, he says, ZZ. So, I don't know. So we've got the SCVs going to be able to finish up these two barracks. Marines now on the way, as well as another supply depot coming up. Spawning pool is on the way for our Zerg player, and drones are out here. They will be able to surround the Marines as they pop out, and hopefully will be able to defend against this rush. Looks like he will not be able to keep those keep those drones around here. It looks like the Marine and the SCVs will be able to try to ward those drones away. It looks like a nice surround. Oh, looks like that Marine is almost getting away. It looks like it does get killed off, and another Marine popping out the SCVs on attack command, and the Marine getting surrounded there. Second Marine is on the way, and he will be popping out. It looks like that second Marine dies as well. Third Marine is out, and an SCV is still continuing to chase the drones around. Two Marines out in the field. They will be able to advance real soon. 8 Zerglings on the way for MVPLeader. And back at home, Isildur is finally getting up his orbital command. This is quite late because he is rushing. A bunker is on the way, and the Zerglings and drones are being pulled, and they will be advancing on this position. 4 Marines out for our Terran player, and it looks like they will get surrounded. 2 Marines not surrounded in there, and 2 more Marines popping out right now, and they will be able to start shooting away at those units. The SCVs repairing each other, and the Marines trying to get away. Looks like this rush will soon. No, looks like it will not be denied. A couple of Zerglings working on that bunker. More Marines popping out here will allow our Terran player to continue rushing here. In just a moment, more Zerglings popping forth. They are going to be chasing away those Marines. 4 Marines out, and that's plenty of Zerglings. Looks like they will be going for the counterattack, and there's just a supply depot wall getting erected over here. I think it'll actually take 2 depots to wall this off. We'll see if that is true in just a moment. The Zerglings advancing across the map, and the Marines poking forward, and it looks like Isildur may be able to start ranging this hatchery, or perhaps cleaning up a couple of those Zerglings right now as well. And here comes the vast majority of those Zerglings headed towards the top of the ramp, and it looks like it actually has been walled off. And the wall off will prevent those Zerglings from getting in there rather quickly, but they will be able to break this wall down pretty easily, and Isildur will be forced to pull some SCVs. Like, it looks like a couple of Marines getting surrounded surrounded over there will get cleaned up. Isildur down to 17 food and 28 food for MVP Leader. And the SCV is now coming forward to repair this wall. It looks like the Zerglings will be busting in here in just a second. That supply depot barely getting the repair on, and more SCVs will need to come off the line to repair these depots up. And it looks like Isildur will be able to defend here for a little bit of time. A couple more barracks on the way for Isildur, and the 2 barracks also floating across the map as well. MVP Leader, he could easily expand a couple of times, or I don't know, continue trying to break this down. Perhaps getting a Baneling's Nest would help him a lot. Tons of Zerglings streaming across the map. Going to be breaking this wall down as quickly as possible. And the SCV is actually wasting plenty of money here trying to finish this up. It looks like a bunker is on the way to help defend here. The SCV is going to continue repairing here. It seems like one SCV is just enough to actually keep the supply depot alive against a bunch of unupgraded Zerglings. So you don't, for those of you who need to note, you don't need that much to actually repair a wall against this many Zerglings, especially if you do have a Marine and a bunker behind it. The barracks now retreating, and a couple of geysers getting taken, as well as the factory coming up. Barracks now moving towards the front, going to be guarding against the possibility of a bunker, a bust. You can't bunker rush if you are a Zerg player. Looks like the barracks repositioning themselves on the top of that ramp will be able to close this off a little bit more, as well as additional supply depots forming a secondary wall. And our Terran player is really far behind right now. We'll see what he decides to do. Second factory is on the way as well. And our Zerg player continuing to mill back and forth is going to be getting additional drones headed for that late game. We have the spawning pool now researching the metabolic boost upgrade, and it looks like the 2 Xel'Naga towers, they just see this expansion and a little bit of the movement paths over here. They will be able to watch for anything moving out of this area, as well as the last expansion in the corners. And the Zerglings are going to be hanging out over here. More drones on the way. A 3rd hatch coming up at that 3rd base where those barracks were planted. So keep note, if you do play on this map, this is the place to bunker rush. Maybe even hiding them here will do you good, as those drones will not be able to see what's going on. And it looks like the Zerg player will be opening up the paths a little bit to help him attack the Terran player later on in the game, opening up the destructible rocks over here. And he does have a Baneling's Nest on the way. I wonder if he will regret not Baneling busting our Terran player over here later in the game, as they are both headed towards that late game. And the Blue Flame Hellions are on the way, and those can easily get our Terran player back on even footing with our Zerg player. Bunker does hold the front right now. The 3rd expansion is finishing up for MVP Leader. Both players content to sit back for the moment. 18 Zerglings on the way, so it looks like we may be seeing that bust real soon. The Hellions are advancing out onto the field, and it looks like they do have not received the Blue Flame upgrade yet, and those Zerglings are lined up, but they do get away just in time without getting completely toasted away. If those Hellions actually had the Blue Flame upgrade, those Zerglings would have been completely toast. And it looks like a barracks will be floating out here, checking to see if there's any sort of Banelings morphing. And we do have a command center now on the way for Isildur to going to be securing his natural expansion real soon. There's also a starport going to be popping out to help those Blue Flame Hellions gain additional mobility. And here come the Hellions advancing across the map, and they will come across all of the Zerglings. We'll see if those Zerglings get completely toasted. Looks like the Hellions have gotten surrounded, but a lot of Zerglings going down. The Hellions do get cleaned up. So that was 36 units killed by Isildur, so that's a lot. And 26 units killed by MVP Leader. Banelings now being morphed, and it looks like we will be seeing this bust. And here we do see the Banelings advancing forward, and the wall is completely down. Oh no! Looks like the Banelings now advancing forward, rolling through the bunker, and the Hellions going to be trying to deal with the rest of it. No additional Zerglings to actually complete this attack, and they are headed straight for that mineral line. And it looks like six workers have been killed in that exchange. I think that was just 2 additional workers killed. since workers will kill earlier on in the game. It looks like we have the medevacs out on the field. 14 Zerglings being produced right now. The wall quickly getting re-erected to help defend against any additional Baneling busts. Hellions are going to be advancing over here along with that medevac. We should be seeing an elevator into the main real soon. 4 Hellions into that medevac and 2 Hellions running towards the front. Banelings and Zerglings on the way, trying to guard that ramp. It looks like the Blue Flame Hellions here will get cleaned up, but it looks like the Blue Flames Hellions in the main will be able to advance towards that mineral line and roast a couple of those drones. And the drones are lining themselves up, and the Zerglings are actually flowing through this choke. Oh my goodness, look at all of the toasted Zerglings in that tiny little corner. The Banelings also coming around, and it looks like those might get toasted as well. No, it looks like a couple go off, and the Hellions will be able to retreat into that medevac and retreat back across the map. And our Terran player has been prevented from getting his orbital command towards his natural expansion. So they're going to be hanging out for some time, and there's actually sparks falling from the barracks over here, so that's interesting. Did not know that that was something that happened. And Zerglings advancing across the field will be able to take out these 2 last Hellions without sustaining too much damage. A little bit of a micro going on with those Hellions, and he loses 2 of them. Oh no, and dropping another one. That's a very interesting micro there, but would not recommend it since he did just lose 3 of those Hellions. So I'd just call it bad micro then. We've got additional Hellions advancing over here. It looks like those Zerglings have been thoroughly toasted and now roasted and dead. We've got 3 Hellions loaded into that medevac. Should be advancing across the field real soon. Finally getting some mining at that second expansion. Isildur is so far behind. It's the 15-minute mark, and our Zerg player has had this third base for such a long time and could easily go for yet another base. There's also Roach Warren and a Spire now on the way, as well as the Burrow and the Glial Reconstitution for the Roaches. And that's actually a second Roach Warren. He may be going for some sort of really weird timing where after you finish this, your tunneling clause is halfway done. This has to be a mistake. I don't understand why this is happening over here. It looks like a couple of Hellions did get deterred from dropping into the main. Thor's on the way with Terran vehicles level 1. Muta's not yet out on the field, but they should be in the production queue real soon, perhaps headed for those Broodlords. 2 refineries getting grabbed at the natural expansion for our Terran player. Viking is floating about the map, trying to clean up a couple of those overlords. This is a great tactic. Vikings easily pay for themselves by killing off all of these overlords. There's even one hanging out here in the top corner. If he does find a, he may be able to supply block his Zerg opponent even further, and it looks like those roaches are advancing across the map. Flyer weapons level 1 has been started, and the tunneling clause is also halfway complete. Roach is going to be guarding the ramp down here. It looks like our Terran player actually does not have too much. There's only a bunker with 3 Marines, a couple of Hellions which are completely useless against Roaches, 1 Siege Shank that doesn't have Siege, and a Thor. And here comes a bunch of Roaches going to be breaking down this wall. Oh no, the bunker falling immediately. And here comes the Roaches streaming in here. A Thor and a tank spawning on the top side, and it looks like all of the SCVs getting pulled to repair that Thor. And finally, the Roaches do get pushed out of here. But that was a lot of lost mining time, as well as a lost Siege Shank and a bunker. A couple of Hellions lost in that exchange as well. And more Roaches are being produced, as well as the rally forth, actually, with a ton of Roaches. And a nice milling around action here with the Zerglings and the Banelings. Does not want to lose any drones in the main. There's even a Queen over here that's kind of hanging out by herself. She's neglecting her vomiting duty. And Flyer attacks level 1 is about to finish up. A couple of Hellions going to be meeting up with a ton of Roaches, and the Roaches do have speed, so they may be able to catch up with those Hellions. Looks like not. The Hellions will be able to run by, and I really don't see them doing too much damage. There's plenty of creep spread for our Zerg player, and he should be able to get units over to this expansion quickly enough. His saturation here isn't all that much either, and here comes the roaches. They are tunneling under. They're going to be headed over here, and the siege tanks are sieged up, and all the roaches unburrow into the siege tank fire. Oh no! All of the roaches getting completely destroyed. A scan going down to continue completely obliterating those roaches, also doing some damage to his own tanks, and the SCVs getting pulled off the line again to heal those tanks back up to full health, and the barracks burning down now, and the missile turret getting erected to prevent that from happening ever again. Overlords sort of crawling their ways across the map. I'm not sure what they're doing. Maybe they want to get in on the action, but I wouldn't recommend it. There are Thors over here, and the barracks has been lifted, but that is definitely not going to help. It's sparking even more than usual. And our Zerg player still not taking a 4th base. It is the 21-minute mark, and it looks like the hive is on the way, so we should be seeing those broodlords out on the field real soon. And our Terran player, he's just kind of sitting back. He's repairing up his barracks, and his main has run dry of minerals. He's got even idle SCVs over here, and our Zerg player is at 109 food. Vehicle weapons level 2, as well as additional siege tanks on the way. Finally, more drones getting produced. There are Hellions over here trying to prevent that 4th base. The roaches guarding the Xel'Naga towers. Our Zerg player has been able to secure map control for basically the entire game, even having the tower close to our Terran player. And finally, a 3rd command center getting taken over here at the 3rd base. Couple of Hellions running straight into a ton of roaches, gonna get completely obliterated, even trying to micro those Hellions. Gonna be retreating back through the gas vents, and the roaches swinging around the other side, trying to catch those Hellions off guard. Will not happen. The single Overlord here giving some spotting action and taking the top base over here by our Zerg player. He will be able to easily attack this 3rd base and bounce back and forth in between the two, the front natural expansion as well as the 3rd base, trying to do some damage. Looks like the roaches will be pulling back for the moment. Greater Spire now on the way, as well as the pathogen glands. And Hellions running into that 3rd expansion, and all the drones burrow. So it looks like those Hellions will not be able to do damage. So we've got a great way for our Zerg player to actually deny Hellion harass. Finally, that Hellion does get picked off. 4th base now finishing up. This is also vulnerable to our Terran player since it's so far away from the rest of our Zerg player's bases. Would have rather him take this base over here, or the bases that he actually has map vision over. He's actually given up map vision for some time. As you can see, he doesn't actually see too much. He has his 4th base, but not quite mining yet. A 4th base trying to get taken by Isildur, our Terran player. A 5th base finally getting taken over here. Isildur does have a Hellion guarding that expansion. Looks like the Hellion will get loaded up into that medevac as the roaches arrive. A couple of Hellions going to be running by over here, trying to get into that natural expansion. But they are on creep, so those units will be able to catch up pretty quickly. And they also know exactly where those Hellions are headed. A scan going down, trying to see exactly what's going on, running straight into the natural expansion. All of those drones are at risk. A scan going down to try to pick off those burrowed roaches, drones, and a ton of drones do actually get roasted. 38 workers killed so far by Isildur, but our Zerg player is completely unfazed, now headed towards 200 food. He's currently at 165. The hive is complete, as well as the Greater Spire somewhere. There it is. But no broodlords on the way as of yet. Single roach over here trying to take on 4 Hellions. A little bit of micro going on. Looks like they will be able to get that roach. That is one of the few times I've actually seen a roach go down to Hellions. And a couple more paths being opened up by our Zerg player, taking down these destructible rocks in the center. This will actually give even easier access to our Terran player. I didn't actually notice that those rocks were there earlier. So we have the creep continuing to spread. Terran ship weapons level 1 now, finishing up broodlords out in the field. And our Zerg player is still content to sit back and relax. Couple of Hellions running into here, going to be toasting a couple of larvae. Looks like the medevac will be able to save two of those Hellions and retreat back into the corner. Our Zerg player is now max at 198 food, 200 food, and he needs to bank up some money and then do some pushing action. We'll see if he's able to break down our Terran player's wall. He has so many Sea Shanks. He doesn't actually have too many Vikings, so a couple of Mutas or a couple of Corruptors will be able to take care of those easily, and he just needs to prevent his Broodlords from clumping up, which is a relatively easy thing to do. Terran player now advancing across the map. Looks like he will be setting up some missile turrets over here. Sea Shank's going to be sieging up, and the Corruptor is also gathering over here in an awkward position. Looks like the Vikings and the Thor will be going to work on those Overlords. 3 of them lucky to survive, and a barracks going to be scouting over here as well, and our Zerg player is moving with the vast majority of his army towards this bottom side, and the barracks over here as well as the missile turret that was just erected will get taken out really quickly. A couple of Sea Shanks also on the wrong side going to get taken out by those roaches, but the siege line is quite long, going to be able to prevent our Zerg player from being able to push in there too aggressively, but this siege line is actually a little bit overextending, I think. So those roaches and broodlords, if they just concentrate on one area, may be able to break through, especially this top side, but those broodlords are just so immobile. It will be very difficult for him to move around to that other side, and a ton of Vikings advancing forward, going to be able to take out a ton of those broodlords, especially without any air cover. Oh no, the broodlords are completely out of position, as well as those few Corruptors over here going to be turning around and trying to fight against those Vikings, but it looks like the Vikings will be able to clean up here. They're just not enough Corruptors one-shotting them completely, and Infestor finally out in the field will be able to throw down a fungal growth. Very nice fungal there, going to prevent those Vikings from advancing forward, but are there enough Infestors here? Looks like there are not. There's not actually enough here, and looks like 2 more will be able to clean up the Vikings here, and that does bring the Viking count down to 0.6. There's 2 extremely damaged Vikings over there, and their Terran player has set up a huge wall across the map. He's completely secured his side of the map. He's toasted this expansion over here and is ready to take his 4th base. Planetary fortresses will be coming up in the center, as well as grabbing this mineral expansion, as well as the Rich of SP and Geyser over here, and possibly even securing this base over here, and that does deny our Zerg player from being able to secure as many bases as he would like. And this is a very strange position to be in as a Zerg player. Zerglings hanging out over here in the bottom corner. It looks like our Zerg player is just kind of hanging out with his Infestors, waiting for that energy count to get a little bit higher, I guess. And we have the Broodlords going to be balling up with this. This is probably the strongest combination that Zerg can come out with in the current phase of this game, and they will be pushing real soon, but there are planetary fortresses getting erected in the center. Actually, planetary fortress. It's a lonely one. So we've got the roaches and the Infestors going to be swinging to the bottom side. Looks like the wall over here is extended, but the Infestors here will be able to turn the tide, especially throwing down those fungal growths and the infested Terrans. We'll see if this is able to allow him to break through here. Scan going down, seeing exactly what the position is, and oh no, the Broodlord's out of position once again. This is exactly what's preventing our Zerg player, MVPLeader, from being able to push. Every single time he advances forward, his Broodlords gets picked off, and Isildur has actually taken a food lead. That's actually really surprising to me. Ventral Sacks on the way, as well as the ground carapace level 1. The Vikings over here, and no fungals on those Vikings just yet. A fungal going down, missing most of those Vikings, and it looks like we'll be able to deny our Zerg player from advancing forward. And our Terran player has actually got a stranglehold on his side of his map. We've got the orbital commands over here, preventing the Zerg player from surpassing him in economy. I had to check the phone for a second. And it looks like the orbital command here, I don't know what I'm talking about, but the Zerg player has repositioned a bunch of overlords here, possibly going to be headed for a drop into the Terran main, and here we go, 166 food for our Zerg player. It's going to be dropping real soon, especially as those overlords get taken out. Down goes a whole overlord full of Zerglings, and it looks like the Zerglings are going to be running crazy in here, but most of those overlords do get cleaned up, and the Vikings have returned. We'll be able to land and clean up those Zerglings. Nope, looks like that starport will be left to fend for itself. The Vikings returning to the front. They don't want to be dealing with those Zerglings at all. The Thors are going to be coming back. The real manly ones are going to be cleaning this one up. The Vikings are just going to hang out in the center. They don't want to be dealing with any sort of yucky Zergness on the ground. We've got the Broodlords still hanging out over here. Ultras now on the way for our Zerg player, 8 at a time. That's going to be a frightening army to deal with. And the Vikings headed towards the top side. A huge wall of missile turrets guarding the front. And another command center in the back. Possibly another orbital command so he can get rid of those SCVs and get an ever stronger army. Natural expansion is mined out. Still idle SCVs hanging out everywhere. There's even plenty of harvesters in one of those and not enough in another. There's same deal over here, 4 harvesters in that refinery, and here comes the push in the center, and it looks like those Vikings did prevent the Broodlords from advancing once again. And that's actually a lot of Vikings in the air, and once our Zerg player stops making those Broodlords, there's actually just a ton of wasted supply. And looks like both players are going to be hanging out here for a while. Terran ship weapons level 2 on the way. The Seeker missile, Mobius reactor, every possible upgrade is coming down for our Terran player. He's even got the autosec tracking upgrade that makes your planetary fortress shoot absurdly far, as well as the missile turrets shoot further, and the point defense drones actually. I think. No, the outer turrets? I don't know. And here comes another command center for our blue Terran player, Isildur. Scan going down. Does see the Ultralisks. He's just going to wait for the Zerg player to take his army and smash it up against his, and then go for a counterattack. An additional wall is coming up over here. The base has been taken at this location, but nothing mining here just yet. Gas is getting mined out. Idle drones over here. And another scan going down. And it looks like a huge load up. And a scan does see that the load up is occurring. And our Terran player is going to need to reposition all of his units. Perhaps send the Vikings into position over here. They are at the ready. And we'll see which way this drop decides to go. If it does decide to go for the center, those Vikings will be out of position. And our Zerg player is going to be waiting for the scan to finish before deciding to unload. And the Vikings are going to be hanging out over here. I wish I actually saw our Terran player just run forward and try to pick off those overlords. And it looks like the overlords are going to be headed for a fake drop into the main. Actually, it's not completely fake. There's some overlords with some roaches inside. And here comes the Zerg player. They will be, I don't know, hanging out for a while, and the overlords are headed straight for the main. There's going to be a couple of roaches in there, and the Vikings are in position, and a lot of overlords are going to be lost in this confrontation. A ton of overlords getting killed off, and he's going to be severely undersupply, and he will not be able to make a lot of stuff for a very long time. 140 food, and he's not going to be able to remake his units for a long period of time. And here comes the Ultras, going to be running straight into this wall. This is a horrible position to be in. A ton of infested Terrans going down. But that was a horrible engagement for our Zerg player. He just lost 65 food, smashing it into one planetary fortress. I have no idea what he just said. He's probably saying that that's overpowered or something like that. A couple of creep tumors over here. Actually, a lot of creep tumors over here. He's saying that this Terran player is pretty good. I agree, actually. He's got a pretty good wall here. 189 food now banking, 2,000 minerals, as well as 3,000 gas. Wouldn't mind seeing some nuclear missiles, actually. That would help this game get a little bit more interesting. And our Terran player is kind of sitting back. There's a couple of idle SCVs over here. He needs to take care of them. Don't want to have any stupid workers around. We've got additional command centers up, dropping mules everywhere, mining out expansions instantaneously. Nothing overpowered about that one either. And here comes the push. Never mind. We're going to be hanging out for some time, so lots of ultras out in the field. I feel like we're getting into the stages of the game where it looks like big game hunters or something like that. Single Thor here, cleaning up a ton of 23 creep tumors, actually. So he's a hero. He feels like a hero. And here comes the Ultralist push, and here we go, running forth into this expansion. Sea Shanks are at the ready, as well as that Planetary Fortress. Maybe even drop a couple of mules to help heal those up. And those Ultras are getting completely wasted here against those this location. A couple of Sea Shanks getting cleaned up, as well as the Thors advancing forward. And the Ultras also going to be advancing and cleaning up those Planetary Fortresses, but losing a couple of Overlords in that exchange as well. The Thor's going to be backing up and taking the brunt of this damage. The Sea Shanks going to be able to clean that up very easily. The oh, huge fungal on all of the Vikings, but not able to take them out, so that sucks for that infestor. And another one of those sensor towers now erected. Will be able to spot for any additional rushing over here. Two Roaches going to be sacrificing themselves to that Planetary Fortress. A single SCV is there to repair as well. The Zerg player is running a little bit dry on those minerals. He can't just keep running his Ultras into that line. He's got to mine some money here. He's got to take this expansion and fully mine it out. He's got this expansion almost mined out as well. He's got nothing left at the third base. So this is actually looking really bleak for our Zerg player, as our Terran player still is able to mine from this expansion. He's got this one mining out as well. He's finishing this one up, and he's got a lot of money in the bank. He's dropping additional mules, going to be able to replenish his treasury very quickly. See, even the Overlords are shared shitless. Gonna be hanging out over here. We've got a Nidus network now loaded up with 4 pages worth of stuff, and it looks like they will not be unloading anywhere. Two command centers coming up for Isildur. Tons of Vikings, as well as the Raven. SCV is following after them, making sure that they are very well repaired. Looks like they do come here and clean up that Nidus network. Outer turret also in position. Yeah, so we're headed to the 45-minute mark. Not too much action. Our Terran player does not want to move forward, as his Sea-Shanks will get completely decimated by those Ultras. And our Zerg player cannot move forward, because there are these Planetary Fortresses, as well as these walls of missile turrets, before you can even attack the Terran units. So this is a very strange position, as well as these very nice wall-offs here. This is actually a horrible for our Zerg player, since our Terran player has control of all of these narrow chokes and has built buildings in every single one of them. Wouldn't be surprised to see if our Terran player decided to push to this location and try to lock down this area as well. And 2 Planetary Fortresses coming up for Isildur. He's not even planning on mining from this expansion. I believe this missile turret actually prevents you from building your command center here. And our Zerg player now banking 1,000 minerals, 5 more Ultras on the way, and a Nidus head popping up somewhere. Looks like it did get cleaned up, all the SCVs and mules getting pulled off the line to fight against that one. Couple of SCVs headed back into the gas. He doesn't really need all that much more. Our Zerg player is continuously undersupplied. There's even an SCV trying to clean up these tumors here, and it looks like that tumor is actually healing itself a little bit fast to prevent that SCV from killing it. And this expansion here no longer mining because there are no mules at that location. Let's take a look at the units tab. 17 ultras for our Zerg player, 33 SCVs to the 46 drones, as well as 9 Thors, 15 tanks, as well as 1 nuclear missile and 1 ghost. I hope that lands somewhere. Additional ghosts on the way too. Additional Ghost Academy is going to be coming up for those nukes. Another command center walling this area off. And our Zerg player's still hanging back. He's got a completely ultra army. But the problem with that is that it's going to be really hard to break through anywhere. Just because our Terran player has it locked down completely. And it looks like there is a Nidus now coming up. A scan going down. It's ready. So it's going to be able to unload, and here comes the Ultras. They're going to be popping out over here. The Sea Shanks and the Thors trying to relocate, and the Vikings now unable to land to deal with this. Looks like they will be landing amidst all of the Ultras, and they will get completely destroyed. But that actually does free up supply, and it looks like the Ultras will be advancing towards these expansions over here. The Terran player still placing his units nicely in chokes, and it looks like all of the Ultras have been completely obliterated, falling to 79 food to the 124 food of Isildur, and both players now remaking everything. 14 more Ultras in the production queue, 2 Thors as well as a Banshee, 4 more Vikings, and that Banshee can actually do a lot of damage, especially against Ultras that can't really bite things that are in the air. Drones finally getting translated. I mean transported. Oh, whatever. Ultra's going to be advancing over here, and he could use some healing here. There we go, some healing for each of those Ultras. Maybe even get a couple more queens over here. I'm pretty sure he doesn't need any more larva injects. He's got full larva over here. Actually, he doesn't have too much over here. He has some getting used up over here, as well as tons of eggs popping out. Oh, BM. I don't know. The mule's gonna become. Oh, I see. He's gonna be sending his mules over here to do some mining. Looks like they will be able to get away with some minerals. So, denying the mineral patches of our Zerg player in a different way. It looks like those mules will be returning, and the Ultras will be able to get some additional kills. Some bite training. These units are milling around over here. This expansion finally getting mined out. And nuclear missiles on the way for our Terran player. Headed towards that 50-minute mark. Actually, we're past the 50-minute mark. We're headed towards that 1-hour mark. 2 nuclear missiles on the way. Cloaking field for the Ghost and the Banshee now on the way. Terran vehicle plating. I'm surprised he actually hasn't grabbed this upgrade a long time ago. This will make the Terran army even stronger, as if it wasn't strong enough. We have the melee attacks level 3 Neuroparasite now on the way. Infestors popping out. Scans going down. And the Banshee coming to work over here on the drones over here. Hey, says Isildur, and looks like... Bleep you! Says MVPLeader, so he's not interested about that Banshee at all, and looks like our Terran player is actually very happy about that. And the cloak going down, and this will be able to clean up a couple of queens possibly. Looks like we have the Overseer over here in position, but that queen will be going down, and the Banshee will repair to get repaired. 1-0 says Isildur, so we're headed to the game 2 of the series. We'll see if Leader is able to break through with his and a nuclear missile going off. We're gonna have to go back and watch that again, just because that's the only thing interesting that's happened for 20 minutes. And here comes the Ghost advancing forward, and here comes the nuke on everything. There's bird drones, but the scan going down, and down it goes, roasting a ton of drones. And let's take a look at how many kills that guy has, and it does look like 29 drone kills on that one guy, and an EMP going off on those infestors, and the Ghost will be able to retreat. He doesn't have any buddies to heal him up though, and the Ultras just gonna be coming in here a little bit late. The drone's getting back to work. 3,000 minerals in the bank for our Zerg player. Not too much in the bank for our Terran player, only 1,779. And the Vikings and the Banshee headed towards the top, cleaning off an Overlord. A ton of mules mining this expansion. Despite the long distance mining, they will be able to mine this out very quickly. A ton of Overlords actually going down over here. Scans going down, checking to see exactly what's going on. The Ultras still don't know what to do. I guess it's the pea-sized brain in there. I don't know. We will never know until we dissect one of those guys. It'll take some time because they're just really big. I bet those shells are also really hard to get a scalpel through. Maybe you'll need a chainsaw. Cloak going down, going to be advancing with that Banshee once again. Going to be trying to take down that hatch, actually, and it looks like a Queen is in position to deal with that. A couple of infested Terrans going down. I'm surprised he didn't fungal that Banshee. Oh well. Another Ghost on the way. Terran vehicle plating level 2. Another Nidus butt is on the way somewhere. I'm going to find that Nidus butt. Where is it? I know there was one here earlier. Here it is. There's the other Nidus butt. Here comes the Overlords. Going to be advancing over here. Very funny how a drone can morph into just a Nidus butt. And then the head comes later. So I guess it becomes a brainless tube. And here comes how else do you want me to describe it? And we have the Ultras going to be hanging out over here, and the Infestor going to be advancing against the planetary fortresses. Not a good idea. Perhaps throwing down a Fungal over here. Fungal going down on the mules here. Looks like they will be able to continue mining, no problem. So they don't affect mules. Interesting. I didn't know that. I want to see that again. I definitely just saw the mules move immediately afterwards. But it looks like the Ultras still don't know what to do. 137 food for our Zerg player, so I'd call him very far behind. He's lost his expansion over here. He's long distance mining that expansion. Let's look at the unit tab. We've got 13 drones mining. Chill 10 SCVs, possibly just gathering gas. And a barracks hanging out over here as well. Our Zerg player not interested in rebuilding that expansion anytime soon. A single Banshee headed towards the main. Maybe able to pick off something. Looks like it will be picking off the extractor that doesn't have gas in it, which is okay. Especially at this point in the game. 140 food for our Zerg player. Still unsure of what he needs to do here. Nuclear missile going down, and it looks like the Ultras will be advancing here and will be able to clean up that single Ghost, and they are headed into that meat grinder. Two of those Ultras actually getting completely ground up over there. That's actually a really great animation. I want to see a little bit more of that. Please continue smashing our army against this wall. Looks like the base is getting retaken by our Zerg player. 58 minutes headed to that 100-minute mark. I mean 60-minute mark. If we're headed towards that 100-minute mark, I think I would split this up into 2 casts. But it looks like this will be the longest game I've ever casted. It's also pretty uneventful. A couple of Zerglings out in the field. And okay. And here comes the push with the Zerglings advancing forward and the infested. Nothing. No, says Isildur. No way are you breaking through this wall. 2 planetary fortresses, 5 kills each. They are twins. And there's no way he's going to break through this side either. There's Thors. 3-3-2 Thors behind it. 2 planetary fortresses. You die, says MVP leader. So it looks like they've resorted to name calling. Nuclear missile on the way, going to be landing here in just a moment. And it looks like no Overseers in position to deal with that. And the Ultra's trying to deal with it, and he's not throwing the Fungal down. And oh man, those Ultras taking tons of damage. They will need some Queen healage in just a moment. Looks like the Vikings do get Fungaled. And MVP leader not controlling this Very well, he needs to fungal that ghost and clean him up, and it looks like the ghost does uncloak and will get poked to death uneventfully by those 2 spine crawlers. Nuclear missiles still in the bank here, 5 ghosts, 1 raven, 7 Vikings, 2 banshees, 17 Thors. I'm just like reading numbers to you guys. And vehicle plating level 3 is on the way. 32 Zerglings coming up, and it looks like the Ultralisks will be advancing this side. Our Zerg player believes that this is the weakest part of the Terran wall, but it's still really strong, and here comes the Neural Parasites onto the Thors, and the Ultralisks breaking apart against this wall. Looks like they will completely get destroyed. GG, and those Ultralisks just falling apart against this Terran wall. 189 food, and here's a lesson for you Zerg players: kill the Terran player before he builds planetary fortresses, otherwise you will lose. So MVP leader does lose to our Terran player, and I've started school once again, so there will be less games coming out, but I do promise that I'll put up 1 game a week, hopefully more interesting games than this one. I'm going to preview some more games that are long before I decide to cast them. This one is a little bit boring, but I still hope you enjoyed it. This is Aegis, signing off.